to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Now it's time for your weekend tech tip, brought to you by Chevy Silverado.
Welcome back, everyone. Joined in studio by Bugling Bob himself, right here in the middle of August. And you're busy. I know that we're not going to give up too much of what you're doing this time of year, okay? But what you should be doing is what he's doing. Trying to live with them, trying to find out what's going on, because it is right around the corner, man. This season kicks off in 2 weekends.
It's going to be here quick.
And for you, when the season starts, the opening day, you're on it from then. Well, you're on it now. He's on it now.
But when I've been on it for 2 months.
So I'm like, wow, how do you have that kind of time?
Yeah, I just make the time.
I get it. But so when it starts on the 1st, you're all the way through, right?
Yeah. I go out a week before the season as well, and I'll set up my camp, and I'll be there for better part of 5 weeks.
Gotcha. So. Now, what if you got your elk in the first 2 days?
Then I get to have the joy of calling for all my buddies.
There it is. Okay, I get it.
I stay out there the whole time anyway, whenever I get one.
If you get one, well, my tag doesn't work over here anymore.
That's right.
For that.
I could always come out east.
Now, I'm not opposed to sending says, hey, Kenny, maybe we get a professional caller over there and you can just put yours down and we can just hunt. Okay, so he works over at Archers Afield and has for a very long time. He is the only person that I trust to work on my bow. They've got all the bows that you would ever want to take a look at there, all the stuff that you need to have to make sure that you're good to go, from sights to arrows, broadheads, lighted, the whole everything. But it's not just as easy as grabbing your bow out of your safe or out of the closet or whatever in the middle of August and expect it to be perfect. Now, most of the time, it probably is, but there's going to be issues that pop up. What are some of the things that people need to pay attention to when they first grab their bow, they first start shooting to get ready? And you should have been doing this back a month and a half ago when I first started talking. I actually got grief because I was talking about it so early.
Yeah.
But what do they need to pay attention to? Some of the things that you see.
So a lot of things, you know, a basic bench tune, when I look at a bow that hasn't been shot in a while, I'm going to check out the knock height, make sure the arrow's coming off the bow level. Then you also want to make sure that the arrow's coming off the bow straight. Okay, so you got knock height, center shot, which can change as your strings and cables stretch throughout the year.
Sure.
That stuff can change. You know, guys will come in and their arrows maybe pointed a little downhill and maybe a little to the left, and then they're not sure why their broadheads aren't flying good. Right. I can usually see that with my eyes looking at it. The other thing we check is cam timing, because like I said, the stretch and the strings and cables, your cams need to be synchronized. So as they roll around, they need to stop at the same time. So if something stretches and you got this going on, then that's going to create an issue. Real easy to fix. I just twist up some strings and make everything straight. Another thing you want to be aware of is your D-loop here. A lot of releases, if you happen to get a sharp spot on your release, if it's maybe older and you get a sharp spot on there, it can fray your D-loop here, which as you're drawing back, if that D-loop gives, you're going to punch yourself right in the face. So it's good to make sure the loop's in good shape, make sure your peep's coming back straight. And then the last thing I check is the level on the sights. It's actually really important. So on a bow sight, you got second axis level, which is the bubble. And what a lot of people don't realize is the third axis is like opening a door here on your sights.
Sure.
So if that third axis is off, the farther back you go, the more you're going to drift to one side. So I can check all that stuff. It's real easy to do a quick bench tune on a bow and make sure everything's ready to go.
Now, those are, you might think, oh, well, how's that going to happen between the end of September and then going into June, when you should be picking your bow up and getting yourself going, unless you're like Bob and you're doing it year-round. Most of us can't actually make that happen. Right. Why would some of those things happen? Is it just from being used, being put away, and things have a chance to settle?
Yeah, I mean, temperature can affect things, you know, string stretch and things like that. Actually, the more you shoot your bow, the more likely stuff is going to stretch and change on you. Once it's set, it usually stays good and set for 3 or 4 months.
Sure.
But I've even had to make adjustments on my bow, but I shoot a crazy amount of shots. So, yeah, the stuff can change. It can change from the heat, humidity, whatever, just sitting in a case. Always good to check it out before the season and at least have a bench tune, if not a paper tune, where we shoot the arrow through the paper and make sure it's coming off perfectly clean.
Now, I got a little bit lucky this year, and it seems like the boat was good and tight. When I say that, what I'm referring to is that I was able to shoot the same as I was when I put it away last year, right? I took probably 2 days of grief and crying with field points, made sure the things were good. First shot at 40 yards, I showed the photo a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, whatever it was. Very first shot to the center of my target, touched the bullseye, okay? At that point, I know that the bow's fine. Anything that variance from there, that's on me, because there's no vibration.
Yeah.
You know, I'm typically, this is something that you told me years ago to do. You know, give it the little slap test. If you hear anything rattling, no rattles are allowed when you're talking about a tuned bow. So I guess I got a little lucky, you know.
The key to that also is you have good form. So what that means, I can tune a bow, but if a shooter has the wrong grip maybe, or they're hitting their trigger, kind of funny, that will kick the arrow as well.
Sure.
So if a guy comes in and I bench tune your bow or paper tune your bow, and I'm getting bullets, then I hand it to you and you're not, we'll kind of help you out a little bit and maybe straighten things out and then tune the bow to you.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if I can shoot your bow good, I need you to shoot your bow good.
You fixed one of my hiccups that I had probably 3 years ago, two or three bows ago, it seems like.
I remember that.
Where I was putting my thumb behind my neck and I was actually kind of anchoring there, and he's like, try it without that. Just, you know, try to clean that up. And it did help me with the release and getting that arrow to come off clean. I wasn't getting the kick where you can actually see it. That's one of the reasons why. Let's get a shot with that Kershaw Tech Cam if you can. That's one of the reasons why I've always done my arrows this way. And a lot of it's because it was before we had lighted nocks.
Right.
With the lighted nock, when you're practicing, I'll admit these are dead, right? I just keep them there for the weight, so it's the same. But with these fletchings that I have and the wrap on there, it was so that I could see it as it was coming off my string, and if it was kinking off, I could see it as it was leaving the string if I was doing something wrong or if the bow was doing something wrong, right? Well, now we can shoot lighted nocks. It is a great thing. I absolutely love seeing them. And it's beautiful, the epic flight of an arrow through the air, to watch that light go flying nice and clean and straight. Then you know everything's good. But that's one of the reasons why I did that. I don't know if I'll ever do that again, just because having lighted nocks now.
Yeah.
Maybe with my practice arrows, I would keep that. But I don't know if I'm going to need those wraps anymore.
Probably not the wraps. The thing about the wraps is it's hard to refletch. If you shoot a hole in one vein, you got to scrape the entire wrap off to get another vein to go on there, and it's a little more of a process. Kind of leaves a gummy residue on there.
Sure.
They look cool. I had my New York Yankees wraps on my arrows. I'm a big Yankee fan.
Okay. I won't hold that against you.
Okay. Anyways, I scraped those all off, and I'm just doing veins on my arrow, but I do use the lighted nocks. They're awesome.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just love, I've been able to take a couple of deer. I've seen an arrow fly over an elk, but that lighted nock helped me see them miss.
Yeah.
But they really are. It's actually one of those things that it was dumb that we couldn't have them for so many years, and now that we can, it is an advantage. But it is something that you need to practice with, because those lighted nocks, if you were to shoot your standard nock, they are lighter, and when you do put them in, these lighted nocks, it will change point of impact. You'll notice it at 20, 30, 40 yards. So I just got the dead ones in there.
Smart. That's exactly what I do.
Yeah, it's
once they burn out, I just keep shooting them, and then I want all my hunting arrows to weigh the exact same.
Right.
And then you got the business end, the fun end. You're shooting the right broadhead here. This is a Grim Reaper Micro Hades. I've had the best luck with this broadhead as far as arrow flight, and then the results on animals has just been awesome.
Deer don't like it.
No, neither do the elk.
I can't wait to find that out. Kenny, I hope I don't screw it up again this year when we make it happen. All right, we got to cut to a break, though. When we come back, we're going to continue talking bows and making sure that you're good to go. Some of the little things that you need to pay attention to. This time, I want to talk about some of the other things. Your release, making sure that you're using to make sure that that's sighted into your sight. We'll talk about that. We'll be right back.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Yakima Bait, steeped in tradition, innovation, and fishing success. And by Procure Bait Sense, ruthlessly effective.